Hey guy, welcome to part 1 of Batman Deku. Now let's start. My name is Izuku Midoriya, and for as long as I can remember I have always wanted to be a hero. The idea of helping people in their time of need was always the coolest concept to me. The ability to save everyone with a smile on my face, just like my hero, my dad. Let me guess, you thought I was talking about All Might. Don't get me wrong, All Might is a fantastic hero, but my dad is my favorite. My dad is Hisashi Midoriya, a very well-known and well-respected doctor. They said that there wasn't a single person my dad could not heal. He even healed my sadness when I was 4 years old, and the quirk doctor told me I would never get a power of my own. I thought I could never be a hero because of this fact. When my dad got home that night, I asked him, I looked at him with tears in my eyes and asked, can I become a hero even without a quirk? My father walked over to me, knelt down in front of me, and with a stoic expression said to me, you can be anything you want to be in this world, but if you want to be a hero without a power, you, my son, are going to have to work 10 times harder than anyone else. You are my son, there is not a goal you cannot reach. Izuku, I truly believe that with a good heart, strong body, and even stronger will, that you can be an amazing hero. After that day I took my father's words to heart and started training my mind and body to become a hero. I started to keep a journal on heroes and villains' patterns, quirks, and fighting styles. I also started learning how to fight myself. There was a hero named Gunhead, and he had a martial arts school where he taught a style called Gunhead martial arts. Even though I was getting bullied at school for training to be a hero without a quirk, mostly from Katsuki Bakugo, it never got me down because I had my father on my side supporting me in my dreams. With all this, after what happened with the doctor and my power, I thought the worst was behind me. But I was so wrong, because the worst was really just around the corner. I remember the day so clearly. It was a Saturday and just turned 8 that weekend. My mom had to work, but my dad was off for the day, so he decided to take me to go see the new All Might movie that just came out. We went and had a good time. When we left, I remember how excited I was. Izuku, that movie was so cool. All Might was like ha, and the villain was like whoosh, then All Might went pow, and the villain went aa. Hisashi, I am going to assume that you enjoyed the movie. Izuku, it was amazing. Thank you for taking me to see it. Hisashi, haha, you're welcome Izuku. I remember that our conversation continued like that through the walk home. I had such a good time that I had to ask my dad if we could walk through the park to get home. The park led to the street our apartment was on. But we didn't take that route to get home very often because it took longer, but I always loved it. Izuku, please dad, can we go through the park? Hisashi looks at watch. I don't know Izuku, it's already pretty late, and your mom is waiting for us at home. Izuku, please see. Hisashi smiles at Izuku, okay, we can go through the park, but we need to hurry, okay? Izuku, yeah. When I look back at it now, I wish I never fought so hard to go through the park. Hell, I wish I never asked to go through the park at all. Because if I didn't, then we never would have been there. If I didn't, we never would have met that man. No, man is the wrong word, monster is the right word to describe him. I can still see his smile, I still hear his laughs in my dreams. Hisashi, just take what you want and leave us alone. What I want is to see the world laugh, but for now I will settle for this. 2 shoots changed my life forever. 2 shoots and he took my hero, the man I looked up to most in this world. 2 shoots took my father away from my. I sat there on my knees in a puddle of my father's blood and cried as the man ran off laughing like a lunatic. I cried until my father took my hand, and looked at me and said with his final breath, Hisashi, Izuku, don't be scared, everything is going to be okay, I promise. Even when he was dying, he was still looking out for, and doing the best he can for me. So at 8 years old, on that very day I stopped being a kid. On that day I became someone else, I became something else. On that day I promised that no matter what it takes, I would make sure that what happened to me would never happen to anyone else ever again. On that day I became vengeance. I have to say that I didn't think that my road to becoming a hero that criminals feared above all else would have led me this moment. Currently Izuku was sitting in a jail cell, bloody and bruised from a fight with the other inmates, with the underground pro hero Eraserhead standing over him. You are probably wondering how I got here. Well, to explain that, we are going to need to go back about 10 years. 10 years ago, it has been a couple of weeks since my dad's funeral. My mom was inconsolable for quite a while after my father's death, but she is slowly starting to get better and starting to cope. After my father's funeral, I had only one thing on my mind, and that was making good on my promise. Since that day, I have spent every waking moment studying and training. There was no free time to play games or hang out with friends. If I wasn't studying all the subjects that taught at school, I was training my martial arts and strengthening my body. I only took breaks to eat and sleep. My mom was constantly worrying about me because of this, but I would always tell her the same thing. Imko, honey, are you doing okay? You haven't gone out to play with Bakuga in a while. Izuku, don't worry mom, I'm fine. I am just really busy right now. Imko, are you sure? Izuku turns around and smiles at her. I'm sure. That was all my mom needed to see. I could tell she was still worried about me, but I think she could see that this was my way of coping with all of this. I continued this routine till I graduated middle school a year before the rest of my class and went on to high school. I also reached the status of black belt in gunhead martial arts. I am nowhere near a master at it, but I was proficient enough in the style that I decided to move on to a different style to learn, so I have a bigger arsenal of techniques. When I got into high school, I continued with my lifestyle of eat, sleep, study, and train. The only difference is that now I am taking extra classes like psychology and chemistry. I also joined the weightlifting and judo club at school. They didn't want me at first, but I proved myself to them and they let me in. For the next couple of years things didn't change much, and I ended up graduating the top of my class at age 15. By then I also got my black belt in judo and have a couple of school records in the weightlifting club. But now that I'm out of high school, I have a couple of years before I get to register for a hero college. You see, you can't sign up for any hero college till you're 18. That means I have 3 years to prepare, and I wasn't about to waste it. The first year was spent with a man I heard about when I was in high school, a vigilante by the name of Knuckle Duster. I didn't know his real name, and I didn't tell him mine. We thought it was best that way. So I tracked him down, which he was impressed by, and told him about my plans, and he agreed to help train. When I was with him, he mostly taught me stealth and street brawling tactics. During this time I was able to blend my gunhead martial arts, judo, and street brawling tactics into my own style of fighting that let me handle one or multiple opponents at once. The most I ever fought and won against so far is 10 men. My stealth was okay, but it wasn't great. That is where my next teacher came into play. My next teacher I met when she lured me into an alley to kill me and drink my blood. I don't think she expected me to put up a good fight. I was able to keep her back with my superior fighting skills, but she kept me on my toes with her acrobatic skills and the fact that she kept appearing and disappearing during the fight. We eventually ended up in a stare down and my curiosity got the best of me and I started asking questions. Izuku, do you mind if I ask some questions? Not really, cutie. Izuku, let's start with your name. Toga, it's Himiko Toga. Izuku, pleasure to meet you Toga. Now why are you to stab me? Toga, because I like the taste of blood. Izuku, I see, and your quirk, is it vanishing? Toga, no it isn't. Izuku, what if it's not vanishing, then does it have to do with consuming blood? Toga, yup, when I consume blood I can shape-shift into that person. Izuku, that is an incredible quirk. The possibilities with that quirk are amazing. Toga got a blush on her face and a giant smile. And I have to admit that she is quite beautiful. Toga, you really think so? Everyone including my parents think my quirk is creepy and disgusting. Especially since I need to drink blood to use it. You are the first person to saw anything nice about it. Thank you. Izuku, you're welcome, but wait, if your quirk isn't vanishing then how did you do that? Toga, it's just a technique of mine. As soon as I heard that I knew I needed to learn it. I also knew that my best bet for learning it was her. I needed to figure out a way to get her to teach me it. I think I know the best way for that too. Izuku, Toga, I would like to make a deal with you. Toga, what deal? Izuku, in exchange for letting you drink some of my blood whenever you need to, I would like you to train me gymnastics and teach me that vanishing technique. Toga puts finger on chin and thinks for a second. Okay, I'll do that, but I also want you to be my friend. Deal? Izuku, deal. After that I started a weird but rather nice friendship with Toga. After every training session I had with Toga, she would always drink my blood. Surprisingly, getting my blood drank by her wasn't that bad. It however did get awkward when she started to sit on my lap and drink it out of my neck. We got a lot of awkward stares when she did that, which was every time she needed blood. After a year I was able to master the vanishing technique and got just as good as Toga at gymnastics. But after I did master what she taught me, I had to move on to continue my training. I still take the time to hang out with Toga and it's nice when I do. She is starting to get a little more hands though, and I don't truly know how I feel about that. I don't hate it, but I can't focus on that stuff right now. I have one more year left to train. For this finale year I decided to go see a man by the name of Naomi Satsukachi, a man considered by most as the best detective in Japan. Getting him to let me shadow him and learn from him was hard. He was afraid that I might get hurt and he didn't want to risk that. But when I keep coming back to ask him, he finally asked me why I am so insistent on learning from him. I told him my story, my promise, and my plans. To say he was surprised was a little bit of an understatement. But he liked my answer and started teaching me the ins and outs of the job. I trained and studied detective skills under Tsukachi for 9 months. During that time my mother moved to America to be with relatives. She wanted me to go to, but I decided to stay and train. Plus I still had one more form of training to do before I was ready for a hero college. And Tsukachi is the perfect person to help me get started. Tsukachi, are you nuts? I'm not going to do that to you. Izuku, all I'm asking is for you to put me in prison for 3 months. Tsukachi, and all I'm saying is no. Why do you even want to do this in the first place, and in Tartarus of all places? Izuku, because it is the strongest prison in Japan, with the most dangerous criminals there is. I need to understand the criminal mind, and the best way to do that is to live with them, and truly believe Tartarus is the best place to do that. Sir, please, I need to do this. Tsukachi, this is dangerous. Izuku. Izuku, I can handle it. Tsukachi, if I did this you would be on your own for 3 months. I can't help you or get you out before then. Izuku, I know, sir. Tsukachi, I know I'm going to regret this, but because I trust you, I will help you with this. Izuku, thank you, sir. After a week had passed, Detective Tsukachi got me thrown into Tartarus on a 3-month prison sentence. It was quite the experience, but I was able to adapt to the new lifestyle pretty quickly. The first 2 months were productive. I learned a lot about how a villain thinks and acts. I was even starting to slowly understand why they are this way. While I was in here I even met a friend of sorts. We talked a lot. I learned a lot about the boy, from his family to way he was in here. I was a good guy who guessed made a few mistakes. But he told me all about how he was going to clean up his act and get out of here, and I truly believe him. Now here comes the part on why I got an extra month put on my sentence in here. You see, some of the other inmates, mainly almost all of them, don't like how I don't cower from them or try to kiss their ass. They see me as pry, which is weird because of my training. I stand at 6 feet 2 inches and weigh around 200 pounds. But they're still always trying to pick a fight with me, but when they do I just walk away. But they tried a different method this time. Instead of going after me they went after my friend. That did it, that pissed me off. When I was hair-blooded on the floor I just became like an animal. I destroyed those men. One came at me with a wild haymaker, I easily blocked that. They proceeded to elbow him in the solar plexus, then throw him into a group of men coming at me, knocking them down. There was another man who tried to spear tackle me, but I managed to pivot to the side, grab him by the back of the neck and force him down. After that I processed to continuously hammer fist him in the face. I ended up taking quite a beating, but I was also able to hold my own against 15 to 20 guys before the guards broke up the fight. After that fight I got an extra month put on my sentence. Izuku, and that's why I'm still in here. Now tell me why the pro hero Eraserhead is here to see me. Shota, it's quite simple really. Tsukachi found out about your incident and knew that you would have a hard time getting into a hero college because of it and decided give you recommendation to UUA. Izuku, I see, but it doesn't matter because school started a month ago. Shota, some as the teachers that letting you in was a bad idea. Izuku, can't really blame them. Hero college accepting a student with a rap sheet isn't exactly good for business. Shota, tell me Izuku Midoriya, why are you going through all of this to be a hero? Izuku, because when I was 8 I watched my father get killed by a madman. So on the day as I sat on my knees in a pool of a father's blood, I made a promise to my father that I would never let what happened to me ever happen to anyone else ever again. I am quirkless Eraserhead, so to keep that promise I must train 10 times harder than anyone else. That is why I am going through all of this. I watched as Eraserhead walked to the cell doors. The guards opened it up and he stepped out, then the guards closed it again. I honestly thought that I was crazy because after my speech he didn't say a word and just started leaving. Bet before he left he spoke one last time. Facing away from me he said something I didn't expect. Aizawa's POV: I just left the prison after meeting with my new student. I must say that kid sure knows how to leave a lasting impression. At first I was skeptical about a kid with a prison record joining our school to become a hero. Flashback to UA Teachers Conference Room. Tsukachi, thank you all for meeting with me today. Nizu, of course. After all the hard work you helped us with, it would be rude to not to listen to what you have to say. All Might, think nothing of it, old chum. Mike, go ahead and play that sweet sound bit. Aizawa, just hurry up, all this pointless talking is irrational. Tsukachi, right. The reason I came here today was to put in a recommendation for the hero course at UA. The teachers were a little surprised to hear this. They never once got a recommendation from Tsukachi before. Hell, they never got a recommendation for a student from any cops before. But what really got them was the fact that he came to ask after the entrance exam had taken place and this year's student were picked. Nizu, this is definitely a first. Snipe, yes it is, but we already picked the students this year. Midnight, he's right, all of our hero classes are full. All Might, Tsukachi, why are you just now coming to give a recommendation? Tsukachi, well, All Might, due to being busy with investigations and paperwork, I didn't find out that the boy I'm recommending wasn't going to be able to make it to the exam. Nizu, and why is that? Tsukachi, because the boy is currently in Tartarus prison serving the rest of his jail sentence. After saying that, there was a little bit of an uproar about letting a convicted felon join a hero school. Tsukachi was not surprised though, in fact he pretty much predicted it would happen. Nizu, calm down everyone. Please tell us more about this boy Tsukachi, I for one am more intrigued to know more about him. Tsukachi, yes sure. And I promise that he has a good reason to be in jail. Tsukachi then proceeded to give all the teachers a copy of the boy's records. And they all started reading about one Izuku Midoriya. Nizu, fascinating. Snipe, Jesus Christ, this kid is big for his age. 13, smart too, it says here he graduated high school top of his class at 15. Mike, the boy can spike tunes in multiple languages. Midnight, he is handsome too. Everyone sweet dropped at that comment, even though they couldn't deny he was good looking. Midnight, what? Aizawa, anyway. These files still don't explain how he ended up in Tartarus of all places. Tsukachi, to best explain I think it is best to start at the beginning. Tsukachi then went on to explain about Izuku's dad and how he was killed and about Izuku coming to train under him in detective skills. Tsukachi then told how he asked to be put in prison and how he got an extra month on his sentence. Through the whole story the teachers were pretty impressed with the boy's determination, and the length he will go to make up for not having a quirk in order to become a hero. 13. The boy definitely has the determination to become a hero. All Might, I like him. I can tell he is someone who truly has a heroic heart. If I hadn't already gave my power to young Mirio, young Izuku would have definitely been a candidate. I approve of him coming here. Aizawa, you said he came to you a year ago. That leaves 2 years by himself. Do you know what he was doing then? Everyone turned to look at Tsukachi, curious of his answer. Tsukachi, sorry I don't. Aizawa, Tsukachi, but I can make a pretty good guess. You see, he was probably training hand-to-hand combat. Mike, and why do you guess that? Tsukachi, because when I first started teaching him my detective skills I thought it would be best to also teach him how to defend himself. So I took him to the police academy's martial arts instructors to teach him. Cementus, and what happened? Tsukachi with a smirk, he beat them all. Ectoplasm, interesting. Tsukachi, the only one he had trouble with was the jujutsu instructor. But after 7 months of training with him he didn't master the martial art, but he did figure out how to counter the style. Nizu, to figure out how to do that in such a short amount of time is quite impressive. I think we have heard enough about this boy. I say we put it to a vote on whether or not he should join the school. All the teachers then proceeded to cast their votes. All of the teachers except for one voted on letting him join the school. Midnight, Aizawa, why didn't you vote? Nizu, yes, please do explain. Aizawa, because I want to meet with the kid before we enroll him. I want to go see him, and if I think he is good enough, I will personally be the one to teach him. Nizu, that's fair. If there is no other information or decision to make, then meeting dismissed. Flashback ended. Aizawa, he seems to have the heart of a hero. Judging by what I know about him, he is probably going to be my hardest working student. But I also have a feeling he is going to be my biggest problem child too. I can already feel the headache coming on. Time skip to Nizu's office. Nizu, so what have you decided? Aizawa. Aizawa, I'll take him. Nizu, good, he gets out this Saturday. So we will have him start the following Monday. Aizawa, I completely agree. Little did they know that the prison had other plans for Izuku. Guard, Midoriya. Izuku, yes sir. Guard, due to good behavior you are getting released Friday instead of Saturday. Izuku, thank you sir. As the guard walked off, Izuku couldn't help but wonder why he was getting out a day early. But he decided to not think too much into it. Izuku, I could go home and rest for a bit before going to UA. Actually, I better just grab my stuff and go. I already missed quite a bit of school, and Aizawa did say to come as soon as I got out. I'm sure being a day early won't cause any problems. Eraser had come to the prison and told me I would be going to UA for my hero training. I pretty much pushed UA off the table of choices for hero schools because of my now existing rap sheet. But here I am currently getting my stuff that the prison confiscated from me, which isn't much, just a pair of worn out sneakers, ripped up blue jeans, and green t-shirt and green military coat. Now that I'm ready, it's time to go to UA. I step out of the prison gates and walk to the road. I look down the road to my left, then I look down the road to my right. When I did this, one thing went through my mind. Izuku, shit, I don't have a ride, and UA is around a 20-mile walk from here. While mental cussing his luck, Izuku started his long and tiring walk to the famed UA to continue his journey to becoming a pro hero. As Izuku was walked down the road, he kept catching people staring at him, which is understandable. Izuku is a pretty big guy, plus it doesn't help that he has a short beard and relatively long unkept hair from his time in prison. Add that with him being dressed like a homeless man who likes to pump iron, and you are bound to get looked at. Meanwhile, in Class 1A we see Aizawa standing in front of a classroom full of unique and energetic students. Despite all of this, they look like regular students ready to learn what their teacher is going to teach them. Aizawa, alright class, up until now the hero class has been all about physical training and tests. The class groan in pain, and shudder at the memory. Aizawa, but starting next week we are going to be starting your hero training experiences : awesome, actual hero stuff, I'm so excited. Aizawa activates his quirk, quiet. The whole class immediately shuts up to not make their teacher mad. Aizawa, now that that's done, let's get on with class. The class started to pull out all the stuff they needed for today's lessons. While they were doing that, Aizawa couldn't help but think that he was forgetting something important. Aizawa, mind, wasn't there something else I was supposed to tell them? Aizawa-sensei, are you okay? Yeah, you look like you're spacing out. Aizawa, I'm fine, now let's stop wasting precious time and get to work. Aizawa, mind, I'm sure it will come to me, I just need to sleep on it. Time skip a few hours. Nizu called Aizawa to his office to discuss a couple of matters with him. As Aizawa came up to the door with the words principal on it, he stopped walking and proceeded to knock on the door. Aizawa heard a come in, and so he opened the door and walked in. Nizu, hello Aizawa, how are you today? Aizawa, tired. Nizu, I'm not surprised considering you teach all day and stay up all night fighting crime. With a lifestyle like that, a villain might use it to his advantage and break you. Aizawa, maybe, but it cannot be helped. Now what is you wanted to talk with me about? Nizu, yes, I wanted to talk about Mr. Midoriya and the concern about him missing a month of school. Aizawa, I already thought of that myself and was planning on giving him extra classes to help with that issue. Nizu, good, and I'm sure that his classmates will help him out if he needs it as well, although looking at his file I am not too concerned. Aizawa flinched upon hearing about his class helping Izuku because he finally remembered he was supposed to tell them about their new classmate. Nizu see Aizawa flinch was pretty much able to put two and two together, but wanted to make sure. Nizu, Aizawa, did you remember to tell your class that they were going to get a new student? Aizawa, no, I guess because I have been so busy it slipped my mind. It's fine though, he didn't come till tomorrow. I will just go to the dorms tonight and tell them. As Aizawa was talking, Nizu got an alert on his computer that there was an intruder. When Nizu looked at the screen, he saw Izuku trying to go through the gate and having it closed on him. Nizu was about to open the gate and use the intercom to tell him to come in when he stopped. Nizu was impressed when he saw Izuku scale the wall with ease. Nizu, actually Izuku is here right now. Aizawa, what? Nizu, he just came in and it looks like he is heading in the direction of the dorms. With your class not too far behind them. Aizawa, I better go before something bad happens. Nizu, hahaha, what an interesting turn of events. With Izuku outside of UA Izuku, finally. It took hours of walking and a little bit of hitchhiking, but I finally made it. Izuku goes to walk in but has to immediately dive back to avoid the gates closing and crushing him. Izuku, damn, that was close. Izuku stood up in front of the gate and admired the security system of UA. But that wasn't going to stop him from reaching his goals. So with a determined look on his face, Izuku sprinted towards the school wall. Using the acrobatic skills he learned from Toga, managed to get over the wall. Izuku, man, I need to find Toga and thank her again for training me. Now to find out where to go. Izuku was looking around the school grounds when he spotted what looks like the dorms. Thinking to himself that that would be his best bet, started walking that way. He eventually came across the dorm rooms for Class 1A. Izuku, here we go. Izuku goes up and knocks on the door but gets no reply. He then proceeded to open the door as slowly walks in to find someone. Izuku, hello, is anyone here? With Class 1A was just leaving the school after they got done with their hero class with ectoplasm. Most of them were in a big group talking, but there was a smaller group of boys way out in front of them doing some talking of their own. That group consisted of Ajiro, Ijiro, Shaoji, Mineta, and Bakugo. Ajiro, man, today's training was tough. I'm exhausted. Shaoji, I didn't think it was too bad. Ajiro, of course you didn't, you're in peak physical shape. Ijiro, I thought today's training was great. It was super manly. Ajiro, sweet drop, of course you would think that. Bakugo, would you all shut up and stop following me? Mineta, it was annoying how Bakugo kept getting mad at everyone, and saying he was the best. Doing that made it had to concentrate on the girls. Bakugo, what did you say, you grape-headed bastard, I'll kill you. After saying that, Mineta took off towards the dorms to get away from Bakugo in his rage. Mineta ran up the steps and burst through the door to meet a sight that he was not expecting to see. Right in front of him was a homeless-looking man with broad shoulders that towered over him. Mineta at the moment was, for lack of a better word, was intimidated. Izuku's POV. Izuku was standing in the common room of the dorms thinking about where everyone was when he is pulled out of his thoughts by the dorm slamming open and a little purple-haired boy running through. They both looked at each other, then Izuku decided to break the silence and speak. In Izuku's rather lower tone and stoic tone of voice, much like his father, said a simple greetings. Izuku, hello. In response, all Mineta did was scream and run out. Izuku, what a strange man. When the boys from before heard and saw Mineta screaming and running out of the building, they were confused. But Mineta ran up to them and explained what was going on. Mineta, guys, there is this big scary intruder in the dorms. Ijiro, what, seriously? Ajiro, are you sure he is an intruder? Mineta, of course I'm sure. You now know one is supposed to be in our dorms. Plus he just looked like the kind of guy who would kill us. Shaoji, okay Mineta, go get Lita to tell him what is going on and to find a teacher. Mineta, right, runs off. Ajiro, okay guys, let's try and keep him there till a teacher comes. Ijiro, let's do this. Bakugo, I can handle this bastard on my own, you losers don't need to interfere. Bakugo proceeded to rush towards the dorms with the rest of the group not too far behind. Meanwhile, Izuku was still trying to figure out what happened when a familiar boy ran in. But Izuku didn't have time to respond to his old friend. Izuku, hey ba. Bakugo, die. Izuku, wow. Izuku just barely managed to dodge Bakugo's mine explosion. But that didn't matter as Bakugo immediately came back with a barrage of punches. However, these punches were sloppy, chaotic, and easy to predict. Because of that, Izuku could easily parry and dodge them. Izuku mind, he won't stop long enough to explain to him that I am not a threat. I am going to need to restrain him to get a chance to explain. So Izuku continued to parry and dodge the attacks till he finally say his opening. Once Bakugo threw a straight punch with his right fist, Izuku parried with his left hand while also sidestepping to the left at a 45-degree angle. Then with his right hand Izuku grabbed Bakugo's wrist. Then Izuku pivoted his feet towards Bakugo and put his forearm against Bakugo's arm just above the elbow. After that Izuku proceeded to put his left leg in front of both of Bakugo's legs tired to the right, pulling Bakugo, causing him to trip and fall to the ground with Izuku on top pinning him down. Izuku, now listen to me. Bakugo, shut the hell up. Izuku, would you just listen? I'm not. But Izuku was cut off again, but this time by a rock-hard fist to the face. Izuku went stumbling back a few feet but managed to get up thanks to his sparring with Knuckle Buster while he wore his brass knuckles. Izuku then proceeded to look up to see 3 more boys come to Bakugo's aid. Izuku, great. Listen. Izuku was cut off again. Ijiro, dude, are you okay? Bakugo, shut up, I'm fine. Ijiro, it's a good thing we came when we did. Shoji, yes, he is strong and skilled. We should put him down fast and restrain him before things get out of hand. Izuku, mind, a crap baskets. I proceeded to happen next was an all-out 4 versus 1 brawl in the common room with Izuku being able to stay ahead in the fight due to his brains and superior fighting ability. That being said, Izuku could tell this UA students were no pushovers and they were definitely in this school for a reason. But even though they were better than the average thug, Izuku was still pulling ahead in this fight. All he did to do this was make them fight alone, which due to their lack of teamwork was easy. For Shoji, Izuku just used his speed to dodge his attacks and land fast blows to his vital areas. With Bakugo he just did what he did before, parry and dodge, only this time he also used power strikes on him too. For Ijiro he could tell he had some martial arts training due to his stances and clean strikes. He could also tell that Ijiro thought he had an advantage by combining his tail strikes with his fighting, but thanks to Izuku sparring with Toga while she used her knife and wiped it around chaotically, he could predict the tail's attacks. He would then strike when he was open after a big attack. And finally with Ijiro he would use judo and submission locks on him to tire him out. Finally they forgot the upper hand on Izuku though and they all tried to pin him to the back of the coach. But Izuku was able to get both feet up on the coach in time and with all his might pushed off the coach. Because of this they all went stumbling back towards the front window and went through. Luckily Ijiro was hardened and went through first, breaking the glass so no one got seriously hurt. Rest of 1A's POV after Mineta came running up and explaining what was happening. Lita ran off to find a teacher, while the rest of 1A went to help our classmates. Once they got to the dorms they just see their classmates and the intruder coming straight through the front window then land the front yard. Holy crap, what the hell? Mineta, I told you he looked dangerous. Before they could do anything they see the intruder get up and start dragging Ijiro by the tail to him. They then see Shoji run up to the intruder only to get immediately elbowed in the noise. Bakugo and Ijiro they proceeded to tackle him to the ground followed by Shoji and Ijiro. Once that happened 1A all jumped in to restrain him seeing how dangerous he was. As they were trying to keep him down, which they soon found out was surprisingly hard, they hear a familiar voice yelling. Aizawa's POV as I was heading to the dorms I see Lita running up to me. He stops in front of me then proceeded to tell everyone what was happening at the dorms. Knowing it wasn't an intruder but was actually Izuku. Aizawa immediately began sprinting towards the dorms, Lita right behind him. Aizawa mind, crap. Aizawa, come on Lita, let's go before someone gets hurt. Lita, shouldn't I go get more teachers? Aizawa, no need. Then both proceeded to run and as they got there Aizawa sees a giant dog pile made up of class 1A students struggling to keep Izuku down. Aizawa then knowing he needs to stop this yells at the class. Aizawa, that's enough. No one's POV everyone stops what they were doing and proceeds to get off of Izuku and starts tell Aizawa what is happening. Sir, this man broke into UA, he was also fighting with their classmates. Ijiro, when we first came in he had Bakugo pinned to the ground. Bakugo, I was fine. Aizawa just took a big exhale and started to walk over to Izuku who was already starting to get up. Aizawa, you're early. Izuku, got out early. Aizawa, I see. Lita, Aizawa-sensei, do you know this man? Aizawa then turned away from Izuku and looked at his class and could tell they wanted answers. Aizawa then gestured to Izuku. Aizawa, listen up class, this is Izuku Midoriya. He is the newest member of Class 1A. Izuku, pleasure to meet you all. Class 1A, what? Bakugo, deku. Ijiro, wait, do you to know each other? Izuku smirking, yup. Me and Bakugo are old friends. Aizawa mind, this is going to be a long 3 years. POV as Izuku was getting shown around UA by Aizawa so he knows where to go. Class 1A was sitting in the common room that had to be fixed from the fight that took place. The fight was between their classmates and a stranger that later turned out to be a new member to their class. Ijiro, are we going to talk about how the intruder that kicked our asses and that took the whole class to barely hold him down was actually our new classmate the whole time? Ijiro, that Midoriya guy is strong, but he is also skilled. He read my movements and countered them with ease. Tsuyu, from what you told Yus it sounds like all you guys were useless agents him. Momo, Tsuyu. Tsuyu, what? Mina, well she's not wrong. Momo, Mina. Mina, what? It did look like he was hurting them more than they were hurting him. Achako, yes but it is still pretty rude to say. Shaoji, they're not wrong though. Ijiro, yeah. Ijiro, there was one point where we were all attacking him at once while using our quirks, except for Bakugo because he could have caused a lot of damage. Bakugo, fuck you, you red-haired bastard. Ijiro, anyway, even with us all attacking at once he still was betting us. Jiro, how come someone like that is just now starting school? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Lita, you are right, this Midoriya is certainly a mystery. This whole time Shoto was sitting away from everyone listening to the conversation. I didn't want to be a part of it but he was also curious about Izuku just like the others. He was silent the whole time until he decided to speak. Shoto, he was holding back against you for. Jiro, what do you mean? Lita, yes, please explain. Shoto, all I mean is he wasn't going all out in the fight. Ijiro, come on, he was good but he couldn't have been that good. Shaoji, I have to agree with Shoto. Ijiro, yeah, when we were fighting, I got the feeling that if he wanted to he could have put us down easy. Momo, oh my Achako, wow Tsuyu, ribbit. Jiro, this guy is interesting. Hey, didn't he say he and Bakugo knew each other? Mina, yeah. Hey Bakugo, how do you know this guy? Hey, where did he go? During the conversation Bakugo decided to leave and go to his room. He had too much on his mind right now to listen to the rest of his class, plus the more he listed the more he got mad. All he could think about was one thing. One question just kept popping up in his head. Bakugo, how did that useless bastard get so strong? With Izuku was getting shown around the school by Aizawa. Aizawa showed him where the classes were, the lunchroom, gyms, training field, locker rooms, everything. Izuku was sure that by the end he would know the school inside and out. While they were walking around they were also talking about the upcoming school week and what we was to expect. Aizawa, the basics of the school are the first half of the day are your regular college classes, like English, math etc. Izuku, got it. Aizawa, the last half of the day will be your hero training classes such as hero theory, and hero application, which is the hands-on training. Izuku, understood. Aizawa, also, because you missed a month of school, you will be taking extra classes with me. Though if your records are anything to go by I'm sure it won't take long for you to catch up. Izuku, I'll work hard to catch up sure. Aizawa, I expect no less than the best from my students. Izuku just gave a confident nod that said I can do it. Aizawa gave a nod back and they continued their walk, this time in silence. After a few minutes Aizawa broke the silence and spoke to Midoriya again. Aizawa, Midoriya. Izuku, yes sensei. Aizawa, after your little introduction to the class they are going to have a lot of questions for you. Some of them are also going to want to test you too. Izuku, I see, I really shouldn't be so surprised. Aizawa, yes. I won't lie to you Midoriya, I also want to see your full extent. That is why we are going to have a training exercise Monday. Izuku, what kind of exercise sir? Aizawa, I can't tell you that, but I can tell you it's going to be you versus whoever wants to fight. So it could be anything from 1v1 to 1v20. Izuku, it's matter how many there are, if they get to use their powers, which I assume they can, it will be a difficult fight. Aizawa, yes it will. Which is why I'm taking you to the support department. Since you couldn't send in a hero suit request for obvious reason, you can go and try to find some stuff there to even the odds a little. Izuku, thank you sir. Aizawa just nodded his head and led Izuku to the support department. When they got there he left Izuku there to get what he could while he left to go finish some paperwork. After Aizawa left, Izuku went to the big metal door and opened it to see a crazy scientist and the what Izuku assumes is the support department teacher yell at her for something. Izuku, excuse me, but is this a bad time? Power loader, what? Oh no, it's fine, come on in. Izuku, thank you. Power loader, hi, I'm the support department's teacher, Power loader. Izuku, hello sir, my name is Izuku Midoriya. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. Power loader, Midoriya? That sounds familiar. That's right, you were the student recommended by Tsukachi. Izuku, yeah, that's me. Power loader, I must say you look a whole lot different with longer hair and that beard. But enough of that, what brings you where? Izuku, well sir, you see, because I couldn't send I a suit and equipment request, I have nothing, and I'm the hero class. This Monday Aizawa is going to be pining me against the whole class to test my limits. Power loader, so you need a way to even the playing field. Izuku, exactly sir. I need some support gear. During this whole conversation, the mad scientist from before was back at it doing her work, not paying attention to the conversation. But as soon as that last sentence from Izuku was spoken, she decided to butt in. Before Izuku knew what was happening, he was getting felt up by the mad scientist from before. Wow, I could tell you were strong, but I didn't think your muscles would be as hard as rock. Izuku, in a slightly confused tone, thank you. Power loader, my get off of him. Mei just ignored her teach, like she didn't even hear him. Which she probably didn't. She just proceeded to bombard Izuku with questions, till one of the questions that came up. Mei, what is your quirk? I need to know what I'm working with. Izuku, I don't have one. Mei, I see, so you're a clean slate. That's great, that means I have so much more to work with. Power loader, Mei, stop this now. Izuku, it's fine, sure, I kind of like her attitude, and with your permission I want to see how she can help me. Mei, really? Yes. Power loader, are you sure? She is one of my best students, but her stuff tends to blow up. Izuku, I am. Power loader, okay, if you're sure, go right ahead. After that, Mei ended up dragging Izuku away to show him and force upon him her, as she called them, her babies. It was hard, but eventually Izuku was able to calm her down and started telling her the kind of stuff he specifically needed. Izuku, okay, first off, I'm a fighter. So I need to make sure my movement aren't hindered in any way. Mei, gotcha. But without a quirk you are going to need a Y to protect your body. And I think one of my babies can help with that. Mei then lead him over to a big canister-looking cabinet. When she opened the cabinet, she revealed the inside there was a suit. The suit was a dark gray bodysuit with black underwear on the outside. It also had black boots with metal diamond pattern shin guards, black gloves with knuckle protection and claws on the fingers. The forearms also had diamond pattern metal protection, but on the forearms there was one metal spike. Covering the upper part of the chest, back, shoulders, and neck was a diamond-like protector, similar to football gear. Then it came with a black utility belt with 3 circle things on the front. Izuku, wow. Mei, yup, I'm pretty proud of this baby. The gray bodysuit is made of a Kevlar cloth, so it can't be cut, but it can't stop stabbings. The gloves are military grade with knuckle protection, and there's claws on the fingertips for climbing up the sides of buildings, and stuff like that. The claws, shin guards, forearm guards, and chest piece are all made of a strong lightweight metal. So it is good for protection and won't weigh you down. And lastly, we have the cape that is made of a fireproof fabric, so it can't be burned, and there is little electrical current stimulators on the gloves so that when it makes contact with the cape, the cloth will become rigid and can be used to glide through the air. Izuku just looked at the suit in amazement. Mei, so how do you like my baby? Izuku, it's amazing. But how come it's not being used by other heroes and students? Mei, well, this is just the prototype. The real suit would cost too much to make. Plus people usually decide to rely on their quirk, so they don't need it. Izuku, I see. What's with the belt though? It doesn't really match with the suit. Mei, oh crap, I forgot about that part. Okay, so the belt is one of the coolest parts. Those 3 circles on the belt send out a magnetic field that when a metal object going a certain speed hits it, that metal object will get deflected. Izuku, are you saying? Mei, yup, this suit can deflect bullets. However, it is only small arms such as handguns. If someone pulls out a rifle, I suggest you move. Izuku, I see. I still need to be able to strike fear into my opponent though. Mei, interesting. I now come back tomorrow and I will have the suit read. Izuku, okay Mei, now, anything else you need? Izuku, just a way to scale a building fast, a way to pick locks, basic ninja tools. Whatever you can do by Monday. After that Izuku and Mei talked some more about the stuff he might need. After that Izuku left the workshop and went back to the dorms. It was late when he got back, so he was the only one up. Izuku, feeling hungry, made a quick sandwich and went to bed. He already knew he was going to get a lot of questions. He also thought about shaving and cutting his hair. Izuku, that might be a little more open if I look presentable, plus mom would kill me if she knew I was taking the time to groom myself. Izuku got into his sleepwear and went to bed, mentally preparing himself for the next day. An alarm went off in a dark room. A hand reaches over and shuts it off. It was early in the morning, long before anyone was awake. Then the figure that the hand belongs to gets out of his bed and turns on the lights. There we see who it is. It was Izuku getting up to start his daily training. Izuku makes his way out of the dorms and starts to do some light stretching. After that he takes off for a quick 5-mile run. As he is doing this he is listening to an ebook on the workings of the criminal mind. Izuku mind, so the criminal is a superstitious, cowardly lot, according to this book. Of course this book was written before quirks were even a thing. But even so, if I can make my opponent believe I am more than some ordinary man, I might be able to use that to my advantage. Izuku keep on running till he finished his jog and got to the school gym. When he arrived at the gym he started to prepare to do so weightlifting to build his strength. After an hour of that he did a quick 5 rounds on the punching bag to end the training for today. By the time Izuku started to walk back to the dorms, after finishing his training, the sun had already risen. Once Izuku got back to the dorms he went to his room and got into the shower to get the stench of sweat from training off of him. The shower didn't take long and he was out pretty quickly. As he was doing other morning routines such as brushing his teeth and flossing, he stared at himself in the mirror. Izuku, maybe I should cut my hair and shave, so people will stop mistaking me for either a homeless person, an intruder, or even both. After coming to the decision to cut his hair and shave, Izuku got a pair of clippers and his razor and went to town. Izuku, I'm glad Knuckle Duster taught me how to do this when I was staying with him, or this would probably go horribly wrong. With Class 1A, all of Class 1A was up and about in the dorms, with the majority of them in the kitchen and the common room. They were talking to each about all sorts of things like hobbies and games. As they all decided to sit down and have lunch together they noticed some who they hadn't seen come down yet. Everyone was seen at least once so far this morning, but they hadn't seen him since the incident yesterday. Denki, hey, where's the new guy at? Momo, I haven't seen him yet. Toru, maybe he likes to sleep in. Lita, an aspiring new hero should not have such bad habits. Tsuyu, you should relax Lita. Fumikage, he could be upset with us for attacking him yesterday too. Achako, that is true. They all stopped their conversation when they heard someone coming down the hall from the direction from the stairs. They all turned and looked to see who was coming. They were all shocked when said person turned the corner to reveal that it was Izuku. But the reason they were shocked was because he looked completely different than when they last saw him. Izuku was wearing a rather tight white undershirt with black shorts. This outfit showed off his lean and toned muscular physique, which the boys were jealous of. Izuku also cut his hair short and had it slicked back, and completely shaved his beard. With his beard gone it better showed his chiseled, good-looking face, which caused all the girls at the dining table to blush. When Izuku finally looked up once he got downstairs he noticed everyone looking at him. So he gave them all a polite good morning with a smile that made the girls blush even more. After that Izuku continued to the kitchen to make breakfast. Mina, dame he hot. Momo mind, she's not wrong. Lita, he does look more presentable, like a hero should. Ijiro, his muscles are so manly. After Izuku got his breakfast made he decided to head back to the table to eat. When he got to the table he walked to the seat next to Toru. Izuku, excuse me, but is anyone sitting in this spot? Toru couldn't answer at first for two reasons: one, hot guy was talking to her, and two, he is one of the first people to actually notice her without her making herself known. Izuku, hello. Toru, sorry, you can sit there. Izuku, thank you. When Izuku sat down and started eating, it was quiet for a few minutes. Then the silence was broken by some questions from Mina. Mina, hey, so do you have any hobbies? Izuku, like to read. Mina, what about? Izuku, nothing in particular. I like to read about all sorts of things. Ijira, what kind of training do you do? Izuku, I do a mix of a fighter style of training for my martial arts, and Olympic style weightlifting to build explosive strength for my punches and kicks. Achako, that's so cool. Lita, yes, it is quite impressive. Momo, that explains your strength and ability to keep up with multiple opponents. Tsuayu, I have a question. Izuku, yes. Tsuayu, why didn't you start school with us a month ago? Izuku, without skipping a beat, I was in jail. Everyone was quiet for a second after that. Then all at once. Class 1A, what? Lita, you're saying you're a criminal. Denki, what crime did you pull? Momo, how did you even get an UA with a criminal record? Izuku, a police detective gave me a recommendation. Class 1A, what? Tsuayu, what did you do to get arrested? Izuku, here's what happened. Izuku then went on to explain how he studied detective skills under Tsukachi, then asked to be put in prison to study criminals, and the fight that got him extra prison time so he missed the first day. Because of the story, Lita admired Izuku's commitment to becoming a hero. Denki, that he was cool. Ijira thought Izuku was so manly for taking on 20 prisoners at once. And the girls started to like him even more after hearing that he risked more prison time to save a friend. They all finished eating and went to sit in the common room. After talking for a little longer, Izuku looked at the clock and saw that it was nearly noon and he needed to go see Mai about his gear. Izuku, well, it was nice talking to you guys, but I need to head out. Toru, where are you going? Izuku, I need to head to the support department to finish getting my stuff for the hero class this Monday. After Izuku said his goodbyes, he made his way to his room, and got dressed to go see Mai. At the support department, after Izuku got to the support department, he went up and knocked on the big metal door. After a few seconds of waiting, the door slid open, revealing Mei on the other side. Mei, Izuku, good you're here. I just finished getting all of my babies ready for you. Izuku, all. That must have taken all night. Mei, what's missing? One night's sleep. Now I was thinking about what you said about scaring your opponents. Izuku, yes, and Mei, well, I thought about what scared me as a kid and I came up with this. Izuku, that's my, yup. Izuku, mind, I did say I need to become more than just a man. Mei, well, what do you think? Izuku, it's perfect. Mei, good, now for the rest of your stuff. Mei led Izuku to a box and opened it up. Inside was an assortment of tools for him to use. Mei, this is a gases-powered grapple gun so you can scale buildings and stuff like it. These little guys are mine explosives to get through walls or doors in your way. But they do have their limit. These are your standard smoke bombs. Lockpicks and shurikens shaped like bats. I like to call those batarangs. Izuku, ha, clever. Mei, thank you. Now I know that it isn't much, but Izuku, Mei, it's perfect, thank you. Izuku then hugs Mei and causes her to blush. Izuku, now I'm going to go and leave you alone and you're going to get some sleep. Mei, I'm fine. Izuku, Mei, please get some sleep. Mei, yawns, I guess it wouldn't hurt to take a quick nap. Izuku, good. Allow me to walk you to your dorm. Mei, blushes, okay. Izuku and Mei began to make their way out of the support department and to Mei's dorm when something out of the corner of Izuku's eye caught his attention. He stopped and looked over at the mean-looking hunk of steel. Mei noticed that Izuku stopped and turned to look at him to see what was going on. Mei, hey, what are you doing? I thought we were leaving. Izuku, Mei, what is that right there? Mei looked at where Izuku was pointing and saw what he was looking at. Mei, oh, that's just another one of my babies. It's an urban assault vehicle meant for heroes who don't have speed or transport quirks to chase and capture villains that do. But I haven't gotten it up and running yet. Izuku, cool. Mei, now come on and walk me to my dorm before I just go and start working again. Izuku, I'm coming. As Izuku left the support department to take Mei to her dorm, he took one last look at the vehicle before shutting off the lights and closing the door. Izuku then drops off Mei at her dorm while getting stares from the other girls in the support department. He then left to head back to his dorm to lay down and rest himself, all the while thinking about his test he will have to take in the hero class Monday. Izuku, time to see how far I can go.